Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. Everything seems to be working. How are you all doing on this amazing Tuesday, the 3rd of June? I am absolutely knackered and I have no idea why. We will talk about that at the end of the show, but that explains why I haven't made a video in 3 or 4 days. I've been trying to sleep, catch up on whatever it is. But we are not here to talk about my sleeping patterns. We are here to talk about the fact that Bitcoin is hanging on to $105,000 harder than Man United are trying to hold on to Bruno Fernandes, or Brune Fernandes as he likes to be called. Where do we go from here? Up, down. Yesterday, I said we could go to 94,000. Still think that's the case. We're going to have a look at that. We're going to have a look at interest rates. We're going to have a look at, let me refresh my memory, what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the money supply. We're going to talk about the Circle IPO. The valuation has changed. What does that mean? Very bullish in my opinion. 3 alts to watch for June. Normally I pan the life out of these articles, but these have got a couple of good picks in there. We're going to talk about Polygon, one of my picks from 2023. The worst pick of 2023 that I have made. And again, as I said the other day about and Mantra, Star Atlas, the coin sometimes doesn't reflect the project. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about, I have to be very careful with words you say these days, but it's basically a new game from Bonk, and it's not play to earn or move to earn or eat to earn, although that would be quite nice. This is KILL to earn. And I imagine it's a shoot 'em up, as we would have called them back in the 80s and 90s. Then we're going to talk about fake security firms targeting you, pretending to be your friend and trying to keep you safe while just emptying your portfolio. We're going to talk about all of that, have a look at the charts and do some X factors. But before we begin, we have a brethren. We have, let me see if I can say without looking, we've got Hidden Agendas, we have Charles, we have Bullish Bull, we have KB, we have Simon, I believe is in here, we have Manjeet, we have Mags, Danny. Bullish Bull, I am taking a spray vitamin, which I've been taking for about the last 4 or 5 days. I'm one of those idiots that takes things after the event rather than taking it. I used to take ginseng, I used to take CoQ10, I used to take all of these things, and then I felt really great, so I stopped taking them, and now I don't. But it's only been the last 4 or 5 days. I think I overexerted myself last week. I did a lot of videos, I did a lot of lives, I did a lot of talking to people, trying to organize deals and things like that, and I think I just burnt out last week, and I've spent Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday just basically dead. Anyway, that's what we're going to talk about. And one last reminder, tomorrow night we have our crypto quiz. No affiliation. We are not affiliated to anybody for this stream, even though we have sponsors, Maple, WolfSwap, Mew, even though we have sponsors. Tomorrow night is not sponsored, and it's a crypto quiz. And we said we'd do one. Everybody said they wanted to see one, so we're going to do one. I know Mags can't make it because he's working, but we have to kind of go with the 90% majority. So Wednesday, 7 p.m., we're going to do a crypto quiz. I'll show you details about that at the end. But I suppose we should do some work, shouldn't we? Good morning, Kishan. I hope you are well. Excuse me. Now, if you're wondering why I keep peeking down to my bottom right-hand corner, I have a new setup. So new camera angle, new desk, new everything. The problem is the chat is so far away from me, I can't see it without peeking down. So if I look like I'm blind, it's just really far away in that corner. Right, a few things. We are nearly at 212,000 followers, not far off that. I don't know whether we're going to get to 250,000 by the end of the year. I think that's going to be a hard push, but we're going to give it a go. That would be great. And if the bull run really does kick in, we should be there a lot sooner than anything else. You'll see that we've replaced the chat with a QR code in the bottom left-hand corner. That is not a clandestine offer to buy male underpants. That actually takes you to our YouTube channel. So when we do start streaming on X, we obviously stream on Binance and we stream on YouTube. When we start streaming on different platforms, that will take you to our YouTube channel, because To play the quiz, which is interactive, you have to play it on YouTube. You can't play it on Binance or X at the moment. The Oracle hasn't written that. And we do have some plans. We're probably going to try and make quiz teams. So, for example, Danny and Mary and Kishan and Mags could all be on the same team. That's the next evolution of the crypto quiz. And we've not seen anybody do this, by the way. So that's why we're super chuffed about it. Anyway, hope, not heat. Okay, that's not a typo. We're going to look at interest rates, and it's hot. That's all it means. That's all it means. So let's get on with the charts. Have a look. That was the biggest intro I've done. 5-minute intro. I need to stop having such long intros. Volume, not really. 113 billion, not massive for this day. 63% Bitcoin dominance. Again, nothing really changes. That's why I don't report it that much. As I said, Bitcoin hanging on to $105,000. Ethereum, 5% move. Very decent. $2,600. I've got my second biggest bag in Ethereum, and I think that Vitalik's chat that he had at one of these conferences where he said he's going to 10x Ethereum in the next 12 months. He knows what's coming and we don't. And I think that's the big difference with a lot of these things, with Michael Saylor's, with Donald Trump's, with Charles, with Vitalik. They're on the inside and they know what's going to happen, and we simply are not. So we can only hypothesize as to what's going to go on in crypto, which is why I do a lot of opinions on things rather than just sitting here reading the news. I just try and give you opinions, because sometimes the opinions are either completely right or completely wrong, but the article is just the hearsay. I think Ethereum is going to announce something massive soon. We've got Ethereum staking, that's still coming. A good move by it yesterday. XRP, again, 220, 250. Those two prices it hangs around. Solana got up to, I think, 160 something or other. That's up nearly at 160 today. Again, a decent price. Tron has flipped, as far as I can see. Tron has flipped Cardano. But Cardano is, again, these prices, they are telegraphing the prices. They tell you where they're going to hang around. And if you watch long enough, you watch us long enough, you'll know. We read them out every day. I'm not going to go through it again. Again, gainers then. Hype is up. PEP is up. Pendle, Aave, Arbitrum, ASI is up. ASI is going to be over $1 before you can say anything. It's way undervalued. Way undervalued, that token. Other tokens in here that possibly undervalued. I mean, I remember Dog with Hat. Was it $4? $4.20? How times have changed. That might move back up at some point. But again, meme coin season, I think, has come and gone. Stacks, solid project. Bonk is up on the news of the game. Jupiter is up. Remember, there is a vote. I don't think I've got it. I don't have it in the X-Files. There is a vote today, which lasts until Friday. Again, if you stake Jupe, you take part in the DAO, and every 3 months they give you an airdrop of Jupe. Okay, more DAOs need to follow this very simple policy. There is no incentive to vote in DAOs, and a lot of DAOs have votes not quite daily, but 3 or 4 times a week. People don't care. Incentivize them to vote. I know Simon's got a project out there. Simon brings out a DAO vote and then incentivizes everybody from the treasury to vote. The take-up will be 3 times that of people who don't. And you can incentivize it over a course of 5 or 10 votes, and people will vote 5 or 10 times. If you don't incentivize them, they might vote once or twice. So I think Jupiter have got a lot of things right. I just think, again, very similar to some of those other coins, the share price doesn't reflect the value of that project. Jupiter it's a unicorn. It could IPO tomorrow and probably be worth a couple of $1 billion. Share price doesn't reflect that, or the token price, sorry. I keep saying share price. DEX is down, Potenza is down, Flare. Not too many losers. Let's not bother too much with the losers. There's not that much to watch today. Let's have a look at the X-Files. Now, I have asked a poll question of the day. I was going to ask people to type this in chat. Now, I noticed this yesterday. The second I start talking, everybody goes quiet. Now, either you're all absolutely transfixed with everything I say and you're just taking it in, or you've got me on in the background while you're doing your work. Don't mind either way. But the algorithm likes it when people chat. Otherwise, they think you're all fake people. Now, I was going to ask this, and you could type it in chat, but I've asked it as a poll instead. Which one of these tokens would you hold to the end of the next bull run? And I've given you Solana, ETH, and XRP. And so far, ETH is winning the bet. You know what? I'll give you my opinion at the end. So basically, which token will you hold to the end of the 2029 bull run? So which token is going to be in a position of strength in 4 years' time out of those three? And again, they've all got different reasons to be the top dog. Now then, this is the most important bit of information you are going to get today. The price of eggs in the United States has dropped 61% since Trump took office. Now, headlines can be deceiving because Trump will go out and tell you, look at this, look at the cost of eggs, look at what I've done for the country. There was a problem in America with chickens, and they had to put a load of chickens down. Chickens lay eggs, no chickens, no eggs. Price went through the roof. Now they're coming down. We had the same thing in Spain 2 or 3 years ago with olive oil. Olive oil was, and Mags will probably know this being in Portugal as well, olive oil got up towards 18 to 20 pounds a bottle. It's now back at 6 to 8 pounds a bottle. Things can go up, but they can also come down. The price of eggs was always going to come down. The same way, if you have BSE in cows and you have to slaughter a load of cows, the price of meat goes up. But eventually, as the stocks get replenished, they come down. But these kinds of things are what both sides will use to show you just how good or bad a job Donald Trump is doing. I don't care. I don't care. But they will be headlines. You're going to see Trump talk about eggs at some point in the next 3 weeks, and he's going to claim victory. It's got nothing to do with him. He didn't lay the egg, did he? You know, he'd have to go some to lay the amount of eggs that Americans eat on a daily basis. Now then, Eric Balchunas, love the guy. Great commentary on ETFs. Since Cramer called the bottom on the 8th of April, no category has taken in more cash than spot crypto, with cash and value close behind. Outflows from cyclical and levered long and small caps. Note, this is only specific categories. If we added US bond or stocks, it would blow away crypto. The point of the matter is that if you do the opposite of what Jim Cramer says, you will be very rich. Forget what crypto banter tell you. Forget what George tells you on Cryptos R Us. Just do exactly the opposite of Jim Cramer. If he says sell Nvidia, buy. If he says buy Microsoft, sell. Really simple. Now, Holden 15 put this up, and I like this. I don't think they've done this before, and I commented on this and said this was a really good idea because it sums everything up. We don't want to sit here and become the Bitcoin announcement channel. These are the significant Bitcoin announcements over the last probably 24, 48 hours. And these are the amounts of money being invested into Bitcoin. We don't need to read them all, but just look at some of the numbers. 55, 56, 58, 60, 62, 63 billion in volume about to come into Bitcoin, plus companies targeting an amount of Bitcoin to hold. We know Saylor wants, 2.1 million or something like that, crazy like that, or was it a million? I can't remember now. You've then got the French and Japanese, they're targeting 210,000 Bitcoin and 21,000 Bitcoin. Where does the Bitcoin come from? That's all you've got to ask yourself. Where does the Bitcoin come from to satisfy that demand? Because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. We've got 2.5 million left on exchanges, and then that's it. We don't produce anything. 450 a day. That's it. That's the poll question of the day that I put up on Twitter. Twitter is a dead sea at this moment in time. Apart from the odd project that we talk about Compute 3 AI, that gets a lot of traction. Core DAO gets a lot of traction. Maple gets a lot of traction. Apart from that, really, really low metrics at the minute. We talked about this a little bit last week. The SEC has stated that native staking is not a security. The Solana ETF via Marinade staking is coming soon. Now, this is absolutely massive for Marinade Finance. We've covered them on here before. I know a year ago, maybe a little bit more, all we ever talked about was Solana. And that's when we made the shift to start talking about Chronos Chain projects. And now we talk about Bitcoin projects. And the reason we talk about Bitcoin projects is it's the future. So we talk about Maple, Core, we talk about Bitcoin Yield, but we also haven't forgotten our roots, which was in Solana. And Marinade has a liquid staking token, MSOL. If Marinade are going to get their own ETF, this is going to absolutely transform what Marinade Finance are. My second biggest bag is Sol. All of those are speculative long-term plays. New all-time highs or crash and burn. I think the new all-time high, crash or burn, that's the million-dollar question. And I think it comes down to what we're about to cover next, believe it or not. Bitcoin comes to some crossroads from time to time. And again, depending on what kind of person you are, it depends on what direction you think Bitcoin's going to go in. If you're a trader, you'll see a trade setup to short or long Bitcoin. If you're in macro, you'll study what Jerome Powell has got to say, or you'll look at the unemployment figures, the housing figures. If you are a Bitcoin maxi, you will look at the cycle. Where are we? If you are a cyclical trader, you'll look at the fact that we're getting towards the summer, which means lower volumes. Everybody has their merits for what they do. I personally don't think we're going to see massive all-time highs in July and August because the traffic and the volume isn't going to be there. Now, everything I say goes out the window when one of the major macro events happens. The trade deal with China, interest rate cuts, end of conflict in Eastern Europe, end of conflict in the Middle East. All of those are macro events that can affect stocks and shares and Bitcoin. Now, yesterday, I believe stocks and shares rallied a fair old bit because something happened with tariffs. I think Trump delayed tariffs till August or something like that. So we can only talk about how we see things at this moment in time. And I will defend even the crypto streamers that I don't like. I'll defend what they say at the time, because it's all well and good saying that we're going to go to $200,000 before we got hit with COVID. Nobody could have expected that. Nobody expected Trump to walk in the door and then impose tariffs on the world. So you've got to take everything with a pinch of salt. If we just hang on to 103, 104, 105,000, if we just hang on, let the markets cool off, then we're going to move up. But I think there is a tinder waiting to happen. A spark is going to happen that's going to do the upward or the downward move. And again, we're talking about gambling. Would Bitcoin go up if Powell came out and said, we're not going to have any rate cuts this year? No. Would Bitcoin go up if we get a rate cut in June? Yes. Do we know what Powell is going to say? No, we don't. So it becomes a guessing game. And yes, you can use the charts to see, is Bitcoin going to start to climb up? Are we going to go back to all-time highs? Last time we hit an all-time high in January, we spent two months coming back down. Then we had the tariff dip, and now we've recovered. If we follow that through, then we're clearly going to go into July, August. There's no volume in July and August. So I'm not mega bullish. I'm a bearish bull right now. That's probably the easiest way to put it. Right then, Fed Reserve Governor Christopher Waller said that interest rate cuts remain possible later this year. So no rate cut in June. Probably no rate cut in July. Unless he's lying, which has been known. When would a politician or a career civil servant never lie? I don't know. Just asking the question. So he's offered a rather hopeful comment regarding potential rate cuts in 2025. The total market cap has dropped. We don't care about that. What did he say? offered a ray of hope to the crypto community as he said that the central bank can slash interest rates later this year. The inflation pressure due to the tariffs remains most important aspect of the US economy. He said that if the tariffs come down to the lower end and Fed's target of 2% inflation is met, the job sector is solid, then I would be supporting good news rate cuts later this year. I see downside risks to the economic activity and unemployment side. Now, that's what he says. And this is what I always refer you to. And if you don't follow Trueflation and you want to follow that kind of stuff, we're not affiliated with these people in any way, shape or form, but they do get referenced by people. You know, Cathy Wood talks about them quite a lot. I think even Hester Peirce has mentioned them. They are an independent inflation checker for the UK. Now, we were telling you here, which was about a week ago, that inflation had shot back up over 2.1%. Therefore, we're not going to get rate cuts. Today, it's at 1.9. So it has come down a little bit. If we zoom in a little bit, you'll see. So you'll see the effect of rate cuts start to push inflation up, but it's still under 2% for America, based on fact, not on a fairy story being told to you by the stats people in America. This would signify to me that we're going to get rate cuts sooner rather than later, but not June, because the official figures are going to come in and it's going to be 2.1, 2.05%. But rate cuts will happen. They're just not going to happen now. And if rate cuts don't happen now, that's not going to be a bullish signal for Bitcoin to move up. So that's one thing. The second thing we need to look at is this. And that is Bitcoin versus M2. Now, I want to just put this out there that this is a little bit like a Monty Python sketch on X. People follow false gods. They follow, what's he called now? Forgotten his name. Plan B. They followed him and they followed him and they followed him, and then the price of Bitcoin diverged, and then they threw the false god in the bin, and then they got another false god. And then they followed that false god, and they followed that false god, and then that diverged, and then they threw it in the bin. And now we have the M2 money supply. I've seen people show Bitcoin Cash against the money supply. I've shown Bitcoin against the money supply. And again, it's just the flavor of the month. It's a little bit like putting those circles around your profile picture on Facebook. You know, I stand with France, Ukraine, whoever, you know. It's just virtue signaling. This is even worse though. People are pinning their hopes on a single figure. And I think Raoul Pal is solely responsible for this, because he was the first person I saw talk about it. And what I think happened is I think they were going through all the different macro charts, and they saw one that fit with where Bitcoin is now, but lagged. And I'll give you an idea. If you actually reverse it and you say that Bitcoin is actually 6 or 9 weeks ahead of the money supply, you get a totally different setup. And I think that's what Ben Cowen did. But the money supply is great because, of course, when the money supply goes up, Bitcoin will go up. But it doesn't mean they're tied at the shoelaces. It doesn't mean when M2 money supply falls over, so does Bitcoin. Allegedly, this correction to 103,000, this is the blip in the M2 money supply. So we will see. Maybe in 2 or 3 weeks' time, I'll be eating my words, and maybe I will become a practicing parishioner of the Church of M2. But at this moment in time, it's just another chart to look at. Bill, we're not going to call you by your surname. I've no idea how to pronounce that. It looks like somebody's thrown the coffee on the keyboard. Set CryptoX alight over the weekend by reposting a collage of global M2 versus Bitcoin charts. First popularized, it was Raoul Pal, I thought it was, and Julian Bittel. I've seen over a dozen posts with different versions of the global liquid M2 versus Bitcoin price chart. I've attached several here. Most of these charts predict a dip over the coming days to around 100k, and then a new all-time high in 130,000 in August, September, or this could all be horse, whatever. Now, again, I fall into that category. Now, if you go out and you simply have a bigger supply of money, assets go up in value. There is no denying that. There is no denying that. And over a very, very long term, if you strip the money supply away from the S&P, I've said this before, there is a report out there. If you strip the S&P of the money supply and you rebalance the S&P 500 in America without a money supply, I think it's done something like flatline for 15 years, which means the stocks have gone up, not because of the value of the companies, but because of the money supply. Now, that doesn't mean there haven't been profitable companies get bigger. We know all of that. But as a kind of like rule of thumb, if you take money out of anything, or if you stop pumping money in, prices tend to not go up. If you reduced the money supply in the UK, for example, and America and Europe by 30%, we would get roughly 20% deflation over a period of 2 or 3 years. The same way, if you put 30% of the money supply in, you get about 20 or 30% inflation over the course of that period of time, 2 or 3 years. So money makes a big difference. I agree with that. Now, I also agree that charts can be useful. And the question is, does the money supply affect everything in the world? And therefore, of course, it will affect Bitcoin. The answer is yes. Do I think we should use it as gospel? No, I don't. And I'm pretty much sick of seeing one chart because nobody seems to be talking about anything else anymore. Golden Cross has gone out the window. Death Cross has gone out the window. Bull market support bands have gone out the window. RSI has gone out the window. Stocks, everything's gone out the window. And now we seem to be fixated with those two characters, the M2. Expanding on the backdrop, he argued that global liquidity needed to rise significantly in the coming months. Bitcoin remains the mother of all liquidity, against debasement, of course. He framed the asset's reflexivity in stark terms as fiat supply grows, Bitcoin absorbs the monetary excess, and the gains will most likely spill over into other L1 platforms and speculative. Yeah, again, we don't need to talk too much about this. Watch your leverage, touch grass, and please be civil, he said. Nobody is civil in crypto. I think we can all agree on that. So again, my argument, are we going to go to all-time highs? If this chart is right, then yes. But based on the yearly cyclical effect of markets, which I looked at in January, you do get all-time highs in Bitcoin round about April time. And I've said this 3 or 4 times already. I was wrong and it was May. But then we have a cool-off period and then some dips. And I think we've got probably 2, maybe 1 big 25 to 30% correction left between now and November. So 1 more dip. Now, again, I don't think we're going to go from 112 down to 80. We might go from 130 down to 95, for example. Or we might slowly slide down from where we are now, get towards 92, 94, and then people say we've had a double top and that's the end of the Bitcoin bull run. And then we'll have a summer of everybody in chat being depressed. But it's cyclical. Summer, people go on holidays. Summer, people relax. End of the year, people are back. Gets darker early, it rains, people are depressed, people spend more in stocks and shares. It's just how it works. And that seems to play out over everything. And then we might get the Santa rally. Who knows? Anyway, that was the longest non-answer to a question I've ever given as well. Let's move on a little bit. Remember, if you are in chat, say hello. Tariq is here. New all-time high crashing birds. Yeah, again, I think the thing is, Charles, there's different degrees of speculation. Do I think XRP, Solana, and Ethereum will be here in 4 years' time? Do I think all 3 will be here in 4 years' time? I'm 80 to 90% sure they will be. Let me think of a coin. Will TON be here in 4 or 5 years' time? I'm pretty much certain, 70 to 80% chance that'll be here in 4 years' time. Then you drop down a little bit, and let's say you look at an AI token like Virtuals. Will Virtuals be here in 4 years' time? I'd say there's a 50-50 chance. So the speculation is like a scale for me. between 0 and 100, and everything falls onto that scale. The only thing that is a solid 100 for me is Bitcoin. That's the only one that will definitely be here in 4 years' time. And when I say definitely, I'm excluding black swan events such as quantum attack, EMP, corrupt data, a hack, absolute loss of trust in Bitcoin. All of those things I'd say are black swans. Nothing is exactly 100, but Bitcoin is as close to it as possible. And I'd say it's a 100% chance. I'd say Ethereum, probably 98% chance. Solana, 95. XRP is probably the biggest one, maybe 80% chance. But they IPO, they get all the money in. They integrate themselves with banking. Yeah. Now, Circle, remember, there was a kind of a bidding war for Circle. And I think that preempted this. They were going to go out with a 5.4 billion valuation. The demand is that high that they've increased it to 7.2 billion valuation. Now, at this valuation, I think they're just going to issue more shares. They're going to issue 32 million, not 24 million, and the price has gone up from 24 to 26 to 27 to $28. And I said, and I remember, I would be buying Circle shares at the $24, $25 range. This launches at $27 to $28. It's 10% more than what I said I would be buying in at. And again, I don't know now whether I would buy or wait. The reason is that Circle has a 60 billion AUM, something like that, doesn't it? And if that's the case, where's it going to be in 3 or 4 years' time? Because stablecoins are the future. So it might not be at 60, it might be at 180 billion. So it's going to be 3x where it is now. So it will be a $25 billion company. So buying the share price at $27 or $28 is still not a bad idea. I just don't know whether it will do I can't say the word, but it will do a Coinbase, a coin share, where Coinbase absolutely tanked. So what I would do with Circle is I would look to buy it on any dip, because I think long term Tether and Circle are going to have a lot of the pie. The pie is going to get an awful lot bigger. They're going to get an awful lot more competition. And I know this technically isn't crypto, but if you're looking to diversify outside of crypto directly, but stay in crypto, then holding shares in Master, which is kind of proxy Bitcoin anyway, but holding shares in Master, holding shares in Coinbase, holding shares in Circle is certainly not a bad idea. Even some of the mining stocks, they're not a bad idea. But it's made me hang on a little bit, because suddenly, I mean, you know, they're going to be oversubscribed. We know that. This was always going to happen. It's bullish for Circle. I just don't know whether I'm going to buy it on day one anymore. That's all I'm saying. I am still going to buy some Circle. And again, they make money hand over fist. They make, rule of thumb, they make 5%. So if they've got 60 billion in assets, they make $3 billion. $250 million a month is a lot of money coming in. So again, I'm not saying don't buy it. I'm not saying buy it. It's not financial advice. But I'm saying it makes so much money. Unless something dramatic happens, I don't see there being a problem with the market. Now then, we're going to move on to something a little bit less specific. Good morning, Alpha. I hope you're well. Good morning, Tariq. You are not late. You are like a wizard. You are neither early or late. You arrive exactly when you were meant to arrive. 3 altcoins to watch in the first week of June. Again, most of the time I pan these because they are sponsored adverts, and I am not going to pronounce that name. That is not going to happen. However, let's have a look at the 3 coins being picked out. Now, Quant. We mentioned Quant the other week, actually, didn't we? Or was it Friday we talked about Quant? Quant's had a bullish week. It's gone above 101, trading at 104. The emergence of a golden cross signifies it could go up to 111. My issue is, again, token price, project are not always correlated. My issue with Quant, great project, terrible price action. I wouldn't buy Quant. If it was $30, I'd buy Quant, but it's not. It's at $100+. The best time to have got Quant was $60 to $80, in my opinion. Now, could I eat my words and it go to $1,000 at the end of this bull run? Of course it can, but so can many other coins. It's a great project. I just think the price action absolutely sucks on Quant. And if it didn't, I'd hold Quant. So Quant, for me, I would put in the same category as a Chainlink or an XRP. It's kind of integrated into the payment system. And I think it's a great project. It has a very, very limited supply as well, which is why the price of the token is so high. I don't know how many, what is the 2,250,000 tokens? I don't know what it is. But anyway, I wouldn't buy it because the price action sucks really badly. So no for me. Now, SPX 6900, this is one of those coins that gets promoted by influencers. Therefore, I would also suggest that you don't go near it. Two types of influencers. The ones that are attached to Sui, I wouldn't call influencers. I'd actually call them ambassadors. So the likes of Raoul Pal or Cassie, I would call them ambassadors. I wouldn't call them influencers. Influencers are these young kids on X telling you that this is going to 5,000x. And I've seen a lot of people talking about SPX 6900, and therefore I wouldn't recommend getting into this either. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't. That's just my opinion. I wouldn't touch this with a barge pole. For a different reason to Quant, which is the case of people go and shill the pants off things. Conversely, I just want to point something out to you, by the way, because I think this is important. When you go and look at somebody's profile on X, you should be able to see this, what I'm about to show you now, because I'm all about transparency, or I try to be as much as transparent as possible. I show you down here who I am actively working with. Maple Finance and WolfSwap. The only other one that I am directly connected to is Mew. And we do some other bits for people. So if I make a video about Compute 3 AI, it's an unpaid, unsponsored video on my opinion, which I give you, and I bought some of their tokens, which I told the people in the OG Telegram group. I don't actually hold any Mew at this moment in time, and I've got a little bit of Moon. So there's no real conflict of interest, as far as I'm concerned, by telling you who we promote on the channel. Monero absolutely panned this to death. I said it was a terrible token and it was dead because it's a privacy coin. Vitalik has come out and said we need privacy. So has CZ. They've both come out and said we need privacy. We covered that the other day. Monero has been on an absolute tear. Now, it has dropped away. I think some of these prices for Monero are getting towards the high side. Just my opinion. When I covered this, which was about a year ago when Binance banned it, I said it was never going to go above $300 again. And it didn't go anywhere near $300 for a long time. We're in a different cycle now. We've got Trump in charge. Lots of things have gone up and privacy is on the agenda. I think potentially Trump wants Monero. I think the administration want Monero because they don't want full transparency on everything they do. Like I showed you before with the eggs. Eggs have fallen 61%. Thank you. Thank me. But it's got nothing to do with him. He's just claiming it. So I think this thing about free speech that he harps on about an awful lot is really important, that we have free speech, yes, but not freedom of consequences. Freedom of consequences is something that comes with free speech and you just have to deal with it. But if you can remove freedom of consequences by using security coins or privacy coins to move funds around, then that isn't freedom of money. Freedom of speech, freedom of money, they're kind of the same parallels. And I think personally that maybe some of the administration want to work on privacy tokens, which is why CZ has talked about it. He met Donald Trump. Why Vitalik has talked about it. He's met with BlackRock and Donald Trump. It doesn't take a genius to realize that they want to keep a little bit of privacy online. They will promote crypto to death as long as they can maybe siphon off some funds via Monero. That's all I'm saying. So based on that, I don't think Monero is a bad token. And if there's a pullback, maybe you get some Monero if you can find somewhere to put it. So out of those three tokens, Snog, Marry, and Avoid, I would probably Snog Quant, Avoid SPX 6900, and Marry Monero. There you go. I like those little ones. It's very difficult to find projects to talk about these days because everything is Bitcoin, everything is Ethereum, and everything is ETFs. And it's like the mind share, whatever it's called nowadays. It's all in the same few things. It's really difficult to find other things to talk about. It might look like I'm just spending most of my time talking about Bitcoin, but it is 2/3 of the industry and it's all people talk about. How did the quiz go? The quiz is tomorrow night. I'm 61% sure today we'll have an excellent day. Exactly. I like to eat my eggs and they're huge. I'm not going to do my Trump impersonation, by the way. Pol token flashes recovery signals as Polygon NFTs sales hit 2 billion. Now, if there was a walk of shame to be done by influencers and streamers, Pol would be my walk of shame. This was, what was it? About I think it's 5% of my $15,000 portfolio. And as well as I got ICP in there and XRP's in there, Ethereum's in there, Bitcoin's in there, things like that. Pol has been the duck, as my granddad used to call things. Duck comes from duck egg, which is a circle, which means you got it wrong. Polygon shows signs of recovery. NFT sales have surpassed 2 billion, led by Courtyard's RWA Surge. Never heard of them. Monthly Polygon NFT transactions and average sales continue to rise. So the native token of Pol, remember they did a kind of rebrand that wasn't a rebrand. They went from Matic to Pol. It messed up. It took them forever. They got it completely wrong. But Pol is now the oil in the Polygon ecosystem and the ag layer. So it's at 21 cents. It should be $1. It's down 80%. It's a travesty. Despite Pol being down over 69% year on year, it recently stabilized. Could this be a turning point? In 2025, the NFT activity has been resilient, with monthly sales climbing from 16.3 in November to 74 in May. Again, it's tiny fractions. These are not big numbers compared to the likes of Sol. We know that. But it's growth. The broader NFT sector saw a decline between December and April, so it's bucking the trend, which is a good sign, which it says here, it's bucking the trend. The momentum has been fueled by Courtyard, a real-world asset marketplace that's rapidly emerged as a major player. So Polygon's got a couple of things going for it. Courtyard, I've never heard of, and it's got Polymarket. So you've seen all of these bets. You know, I think the biggest one was who was going to win the election. And Polymarket was screaming Trump from September onwards, screaming Trump was going to win. And then you had all the Democrats saying it was all nonsense, and then they wanted to close it down, and they wanted to sue them, and it was just ridiculous. But Polymarket is the biggest thing on Polygon by a country mile. Now, if Courtyard comes along and real-world assets take a foothold on Polygon, that's another bullish signal for me. But again, if you hold Polygon, sit tight. That would be my advice. So basically, Courtyard is leading the way. Transaction volumes have remained robust, 800,000 monthly NFT transactions from March to May. And again, back in the day, in 2023, when Polygon was in its heyday and having announcement after announcement and partnership after partnership, it was doing it in the bear market. I think he's called Sandeep. If Sandeep got one thing wrong, it was all the major announcements in the bear market. Had all of those announcements been made in the last 3 or 4 months, I don't think Pol would be at 22 cents. But basically, he shot his load in the bear market and missed, by the way. Hit a tree trunk. Moreover, user activity is held strong. So what's the outlook for the price? Again, I think it's going to be a slow recovery of Pol. And then I think what's going to happen, Pol is the worst token I have in my portfolio. Do the Trump. I am not going to do. I'll do Trump on Wednesday night. Pol is the worst performer in my portfolio as well. And the thing is, listen, if it was a duck, I'd tell you, I'd be honest and say, listen, we got this one wrong. We got this massively wrong. But I don't think we have, because they've built an incredibly good NFT platform. And these aren't NFTs of rocks and monkeys, by the way. And I don't mean Monkey Muscle NFTs. I mean Bored Ape NFTs. They are kind of VIP NFTs. So if you want to get a special latte from Starbucks and you've got the NFT, they've got kind of membership schemes. It's all built. They've got the Aglay. It's all built. I think what's happened is they've built early. Like I said the other week about the Michelin star restaurant that's been built in a field, and everybody laughs at it. But then that restaurant knows that there's 24 tower blocks with 10,000 very rich people about to move in a year's time. You've got to open the restaurant now and get it right now before they come in, because you don't want to get it wrong and have people coming into a restaurant and the restaurant's half-baked. And I think that's what Polygon's done. It's built ready for adoption, and we're not at adoption yet. I think, what did Binance announce? Was it 140 million users on Binance? Or was it more? I can't remember. Maybe it's more. There's 8 billion people on the planet, of which maybe 4 billion people will use crypto. What are we? We've probably got 10% of people in crypto that could use it. We're a long way from where we need to be. Now then, this is the word I need to avoid saying at all costs in case the stream gets turned off. Solana meme coin Bonk launches Krill to Earn. We'll use that term. Krill to Earn shooter game. Bonk has launched its very first video game with Bonk Arcade, featuring a pay-to-spawn, win-to-earn economic model. And there he is, Mr. Bonk, playing with probably the character in the game. I know nothing about this game. The Oracle, I think, is going to go and look at this game at some point. It is a top-down shooter. I did see this being advertised on X. I probably can't show you the video because I'll get told off by YouTube. So basically, has it got... There we go. Now, I can't click on it, but you can go to the Bonk X account and you can go and look at it. Now, I know we have Monkey Muscle in chat, and I know we have a lot of Chronos projects that we try and hype up, because I think Chronos it's a gem that hasn't been discovered by not being looked for, if that makes sense. If I was a project today, launching today, I would use Bonk as my blueprint for success. And I don't mean going and listing on Revolut and Robinhood and all of these other apps. I mean the way that they built. Because when Bonk came out, I absolutely panned this project and said it was an utter waste of time. They had nothing. They had no utility. They had nothing. And now they have everything. And they're not a meme coin. I think it's an insult to call some projects a meme coin. I staked my Monkey Muscle NFTs yesterday, for example. At what point does Monkey Muscle stop being a meme project? When does it start becoming a community project? I say this all the time. The transition from meme to community project happens when utility is introduced. What is a meme coin? A project without a roadmap, without utility, and without a reason to exist other than the culture. Once you start having Bonk Bank, Bonk Staking, Bonk Bot, Bonk Games, once you start having all of these, it's not a meme coin anymore. It's a community project. I don't want to call it a movement because that sounds so... I know, dye my hair blue and pierce my nose. It's not a movement, it's a community. And they've done really well. And believe you me, the Bonk project, I could go and make Bonk videos every day and they'd get a few thousand views because there's a good community. Same with XRP. As a streamer, somebody who makes videos, you know you can make XRP videos or Sui videos or Bonk videos and they'll get watched. But then you become pigeonholed or bonk-holed, I suppose. You don't really want to say that though, do you? So anyway, go and check the game out. I've got no skin in the game. I've not played it. I think the Oracle might review this. It looks pretty good. It's polished. And I would go and have a look at it. And I just think they've done everything they can right. they've never really made any mistakes. Pepe's made mistakes, Shib's made mistakes, Doja's made plenty of mistakes. I don't feel like Bonk's made too many mistakes along the way. That's why I think it's a good blueprint. Now then, we're moving on. Hang on, what time are we on now? 11:50. Get a gold monkey, get to the golden dough, monkey muscle. 103 people played the Sunday poker. It's too late for me. I'm an old man. I can't listen to Traffic, which is a Spaces that goes on Monday to Friday on Kronos. I can't listen to it. It's 11 o'clock at night. I am normally in bed. I'm an old, tired person. And I'm sure Bullish Bull will tell me to go and take vitamins, and probably that will help, but I haven't done that yet. But anyway, fake security firms target crypto users in rising scam wave. Something to bear in mind. I am never, ever, ever going to DM you. Ever. If you win a prize, I will comment in Telegram, and then you have to DM me. I'm never going to send you a message on X. I'm never going to email you. I'm never going to message you on Telegram. I'm never going to message you on Binance or anything like that. They are all scams. And that's me. We don't have that many followers, but I've got X copycats, scam copycats. I've got... Every month there's a Telegram copycat. And we're not big. What have we got? 6,000 followers on X, 5,000 or 6,000 followers on YouTube, 100,000 followers on Binance. We don't have that many followers. But if we get it, Crypto Banter, Cryptos Are Us, who else is there? Raoul Powell, people like that, they're going to have tens, if not hundreds of scammers. Nobody's going to message you because you've won 1 ETH. Nobody is going to message you and tell you that Crypto Warehouse wants to send you $500. And it's evolved a little bit, which is why from time to time I'll bring them up. And these are the next stage. And I've seen it in Discord as another one. You'll see people say, you know, we want to help you secure your assets. Have you lost funds? We can help you recover them. And the key is, if you've got a seed phrase for your wallet, go and lock it in a safe in a bank. So you can't be stupid enough to give it to somebody. Keep it safe. If you've got a ledger, you don't go anywhere near your computer with that ledger unless you're carrying out a transaction on Binance, for example. Nobody is going to randomly contact you to help you recover lost funds or provide security audits for you. Now, there's a lot of fraud going on. Coinbase, particular with their recent data breach, that was massive, but it's happened before. Celsius. Celsius's legal court case published the entire database of Celsius users online. And to this day, it was the most stupid thing I've seen in a long time. And I get on a daily basis 2 or 3 Celsius recovery, Celsius claim emails pretending to be Celsius because some idiot who doesn't understand how the internet works, not crypto, the internet works, decided to publish every name, address, email address of every Celsius user in a database on the internet. Stupidity. Okay? It's not the 1900s where it's printed in a newspaper. It's a downloadable database. It's just nonsense. So when you see stuff like this, people contacting you, if anybody contacts you out of the blue, offering you a job as a Discord moderator, offering you a job, tweeting about them or anything like that, what they will do is they will want to get you on a Zoom call to be interviewed by their management team. It's either a fake Zoom call or they'll say something on the lines of, oh, we can't do it on Zoom because they're in China and the VPN doesn't work. So can we do it on this link? And they'll send you a fake Chinese version of Zoom to install. It's full of Trojan software. It's going to hack your computer. It's going to take everything you've got. if you've kept your funds on a hot wallet on your computer, that's a really bad idea, number one. But they'll get access to that. Then they'll probably find a way of hacking your email address. Then they'll try and get into your Binance account. That's why you need to have all your 2FA turned on. You need your SMS security turned on. All of those things have got to be turned on. Because this is the more money you're worth. Do you remember I made this video about deleting yourself off the internet? Don't tell your friends you hold crypto. Don't put your information online, because people were being kidnapped and their funds were being forcibly removed from. That person was kidnapped the Italian person was kidnapped in New York City and held for a month. You had what was it called? Was it Hatchet kidnapping in Paris 3 weeks ago? Don't tell anybody you've got crypto. If you go on the internet, use an email address from Gmail, which you can set up in a few minutes, that's not got your name on it. Change your name on your X profile or create a new X profile. There's a few things you can do to stay safe. And what you don't do is you don't do what James Wynn does and publish everything online, show your face online. If you're worth $1 billion, as he says he is, and he publishes what he looks like, he's going to get kidnapped. Why wouldn't he? So just be careful. Be careful, because these things, they happen, and you're going to think, you're going to think it's not going to happen to me. I live in a sleepy little village. Well, that makes you easy to find. Easy to find. You could be the only Davies in your village. You could be the only Fitzgerald in your town. Makes you easy to find. Okay, so just be careful. Bitcoin's still holding up pretty well. I suppose the last thing I'm going to do before we go, I take it must be nearly 12 o'clock now. What time is it? It's 11:56. Good. Right. I'm going to give you a few little pointers about tomorrow night. And we didn't include the Monkey Muscle NFT in this quiz because it's people aren't going to know it. People aren't going to know it. And we want to get Monkey Muscle to the point where people do know it, but they won't know it right now. So this is happening tomorrow night on Binance. That is the crypto quiz night. Okay, live in 31 hours. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Now, I'm going to let you into a secret. You need to... I've zoomed in somehow. Why is my camera so big? You need to learn your crypto logos because it's going to be a logo quiz. Yeah, I mentioned that, Tariq. Yeah, I mean the thing with the quiz is, let me just bring this up for a second while I fix this, and then I will carry on. There we go. Right. So now there is a way of me doing that with my camera. Jesus, web camera. Unfortunately, you're going to have a massive head of me right now, and my head in the background. That can go. There we go. Right then. Just voted on dupe. Yeah, the dupe vote is out. That's till Friday. I tweeted about it. A word, okay. I can't include absolutely everything in this daily stream because you're not going to catch me every single stream. That's fine. But you can follow me on X. And I will always tweet out the dupe votes. There is going to be a Wallet Connect airdrop for dupe holders. That's not out yet. But when that comes out, I'm going to tweet it. So if you really want to keep in touch, the cameraman needs shooting. Now, apparently, because this is an AI camera, if I do this, it's supposed to make my head smaller. I've got a huge head. I will tweet everything. If you want to know about the dupe votes, you've got to follow me on X. I can't repeat the dupe vote every day on the stream because we don't have enough time. We've got an hour. So if you miss this, so for example, for Solo Sky's not here today, and there's a dupe vote. So he's not going to hear me talk about it. I've put it up on X last night. So follow me on X. Doesn't take a lot to follow me on X. I don't tweet that often. And I'm being a bit more serious these days. But anyway, the quiz tomorrow night, 30 questions, 30 crypto logos. So I'm telling you now, they're going to be easy, medium, and hard. And I've seen what the Oracle's done, and it's beautiful. So you will be shown the Bitcoin logo. Maybe that's number 2. And you're going to go, this is a piece of cake. I'm going to walk away with the prize. KB, eat my dust. Okay? Question 26 is going to be, I don't know, maybe the DNA helix. And you're going to go, I've no idea what that logo is. I hate Mike. I hate the Oracle. And this quiz is crap. Okay? We're going to do it easy, medium, and hard. We are not going to give you the top 30 cryptocurrencies. So if you want to get involved, it's tomorrow night. It's going to be fun. And we're going to give some money away. It might take you a week to get the money that we give away because I'm slow, but you will win some prizes. And again, it's not sponsored. And at the minute, I don't think we want this one sponsored, but we might want it sponsored moving forward because we'd like to give some stuff away. But the point of the matter is, it's going to be fun. Now, last Wednesday, we only got 8 or 9 people in the quiz. Really low numbers turned up, but it was a Mew night. This is different. We're going to try and attract a different crowd, a crypto crowd, because it's a crypto quiz. So we're going to expand it, and hopefully we'll get more people turn up. We shall see. Anyway, I've talked on long enough. Tariq's X account has been cancelled. Thank you, Elon Musk. Well, we know why you were cancelled, Tariq, because all you tweeted was LTC is king, LTC is God, LTC is the greatest cryptocurrency of all time. Buy LTC, buy Litecoin. You were a Litecoin maxi, and Elon Musk doesn't like Litecoin. He likes Doge. He likes dogs. So he goes after the Litecoin community. All I can say. Anyway, I am going to go. I have a question. The monkeys in Gibraltar, do they raid people's houses for food? I was there a few years ago, and they were attacking people for food. Funny story. They do, yes. The Caleta Hotel, which was on where the beaches are, if you left your hotel window open, they'd always give you a bowl of fruit. Now, the Caleta Hotel, they're not the brightest cookies in the jar. Leaving a bowl of fruit on your desk in your hotel room and then leaving the window open is just a recipe for the disaster. So back in the day, we used to see monkeys climbing into the hotel. You'd hear a lady go, ah, and then you'd see a monkey dive out the window with an apple in one hand and a banana in its mouth. That happens. Where I am, I'm on the other side. And from time to time, they will walk along the front of our house. And we've got a canopy, a big metal canopy, and they walk along the top of it. We've got some pictures that we put up a few years ago. So they don't come into our house, but they will, if you've got small dogs, they will attack your dog. That's quite dangerous. They do bite. They are wild animals. They are not pets or anything like that. And if you just leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. If you walk past them with food in your hand, they're going to take it off you. Of course they are. But yeah, they are. But like I said, if you just dance around and scream, what do you think's going to happen? They're going to, like a bee. If you go anywhere near a bee and start screaming, it's going to sting you. I just tweeted your words. That is why I am suspended. That's a good one, Tariq. Anyway, send me the details of the quiz night. I will do a post in Discord. All right, perfect. I will. Right. Thank you, everybody. Now, it says that I am streaming tomorrow, and I might stream tomorrow, but I am exhausted, and I don't know why. I think I've got burnout. I may stream tomorrow, but we're definitely doing tomorrow night, and I'm definitely doing Friday, but I'm either going to stream tomorrow night and Friday, or tomorrow night and Friday. I don't know yet, but I'm going to go and I'm going to kill the AI. I'm going to go and disable AI because this head does not deserve to be this size on your monitor at this time of the morning. I can understand it's probably put you off your tea, put you off your coffee. I do apologize. But anyway, have a great day, and I will see you all at some point tomorrow. Take care.